Okay, this is problem 14 on page 47. A firm expects to increase its annual dividend by 16% per year for the next 2 years and by 10% per year for the following 2 years. After that, the company plans to pay a constant annual dividend of $3 a share. The last dividend paid was $1. So the last dividend is D0. What is the current value of this stock if the required rate of return is 12%? So let's take a look at how we solve that problem. And here's the answer. We'll use our calculator also. And problem 13, if you haven't seen that, you might want to check into that. How you have uneven cash flows that you can use your calculator for to make this a little bit quicker process. Okay, so what they told you, remember that the last dividend was $1, so that's D0. D0 is $1. They say they plan to increase their dividend by 16% for the first 2 years. So if D0 is $1, D1 is $1 times 1.16 is $1.16. And then D2 is 1.16 times 1 plus the 16% growth rate. And so that's $1.35. Okay, so that's how they figured the first 2 years that the dividend's going up 16%. It says, and for the next 2 years, and by 10% for the following 2 years. So we know at $1.35 in year 2, so multiply that times 10%, we get $1.49, and then 10% again, we get $1.64, and then it says, and then a constant dividend of $3 a share after that. So that becomes $3 from then on out. So basically what we need to do is we know that we've got D1 is 1.16 over our required return of 12%, so 1 plus 1.12 to the first, D2, D3, D4. Okay, so now we've got to figure out the dividends start to be $3 forever in D5. Remember our formula, PT equals DT plus 1 over R minus G. We know the dividend in year 5 is the first new dividend at $3, so that's T plus 1. So PT, T would be 4 over R minus G. Okay, you know that's $3, and you know that. And again, you could have just used the perpetuity formula, which is D over R, but it doesn't hurt to use this because it just kind of reminds you what period you're discounting to, period 4. Okay, because remember, since G is 0, it definitely works out the same. Okay, so $3 over 0.12. So for P4, this is why I like to use it, because it keeps in mind that you're really solving for the price in year 4 is $25. So $25 over 1.12 to the 4th power. Now again, you can add both of these together, $26.64, or you could figure it separately. Now you can go through each individual calculation to get each individual number and add them together, or you can do what I like to do, is break out the cash flow function of your BA2 plus that I showed you in exercise problem number 13. So again, turn your calculator on. You want to clear everything, so clear, and then second FV to clear the time value of money. You got to hit CF, then second CE to clear all those functions. So now you're at cash flow 0. And remember that you really don't have a cash flow 0 in this case. You want to start out with your first dividend. It's not focusing very well, is $1.16. So we put in, and so that's not 0, you arrow down. So 1.16, enter, that's cash flow 1. Then the next one is $1.35, that's D2. So 1.35, whoops, now see I made a mistake. I don't even press enter because that's asking me the frequency of the first cash flow, and the frequency of the first cash flow should just be 1. So I'll just arrow back up. Cash flow 1 to $1.16. Frequency of that is 1 because there's only one time. Go to cash flow number 2. Okay, so cash flow number 2 is 1.35, 1.35, enter. The frequency for that is 1, so I keep arrow down. And cash flow number 3 is 1.49, enter. Remember, you always got to hit enter. Then arrow down. The frequency of number 3 is once. And then cash flow number 4. Now remember, we've got two different numbers here. We've got the $1.64 dividend, and we've got the price in year 4. So that is $26.64 when you add them together. 26.64. Enter. And the frequency of that is just 1. Now you want to figure out the net present value. So you arrow down. See, you're not going to put anything into cash flow 5. So when you first press net present value, it asks you I, because it needs to know the interest rate you want to discount everything at. And we're discounting everything at 12%. Remember, you just pushed in 12, not 0.12. Enter, and then you hit the down arrow one more time, and it gives you net present value, and it's saying 0 right now. But remember, you got to hit compute, CPT. $20.10 is the answer that I had. $20, 8% is what your 0.08 is what your professor has. That's probably just because of a rounding error somewhere up in here. So remember, you might want to make sure that you divide all these numbers exactly right, because I have these different dividend numbers, and they're probably a little bit wrong up here because I didn't use the exact numbers. Like this might have been 1.3508 or something like that. So you might want to go to 4 digits when you're figuring out the dollars and cents of these dividends to make sure you get the right answer. Okay? But that's a really nice function. And remember, you can always go back through again. If you wanted to figure out, and we had a 12%, what about a 10%? You just arrow back up and then press 10, enter, and then press your down key. And remember, it's saying, well, net present value, that's still $20.10. Well, it really isn't, because you haven't hit compute yet. You have to hit compute. You hit compute, gives you the new number, $21.49 basically. And then when you're done, you always got to hit CF second CE. That clears all the keys. And you can scroll down and see cash flow 0, frequencies 1 is 0, 1. Cash flow 1, cash flow 0. Remember, those numbers are saved in here if you don't do that, and you can always go back through. If he changes the interest rate or if he changes one of the cash flow, you can recalculate that stuff too. But that is problem number 14 on page 47.